I feel that Division One college football needs to switch to a playoff style postseason. Currently, they use the Bowl Championship Series as a means of finding that national champion, but every year certain issues come up that I feel could easily be avoided if you were to use that playoff style tournament. First thing that always happens is every year schools get left out of the selection process, regardless of how they actually perform in the regular season. From there, the voting process always comes up as questionable and outdated. And the last thing that always happens, and the NCAA chooses to hide behind this, is the fact that they're worried they're going to lose the revenues and incomes from those sponsors, especially for the schools that make those bowl games. Those are the three things that I'm going to touch on, but first thing I'm going to get into is the major issue that schools get left out every year. This tends to be because of the strength of schedule, in that the NCAA has declared certain conferences aren't as strong as others, and therefore even if their conference champion goes undefeated, they still don't automatically get that bowl bid qualification. The big example for this is Boise State. The past 9 years they've been conference champions, 5 of which they were undefeated, and yet only recently did everything work out perfectly and they actually qualified for a bowl game. If you were to switch to this playoff style with a tournament, it could very easily avoid all of this, because as a conference champion they automatically make that tournament and therefore have a chance to prove that they have what it takes to be national champions. This also gets into the next topic, which is the voting system. Currently, 2/3 of the way a team is selected is still only done through polls and people actually voting. And this is fine. The only issue that comes up is, as it stands now, after everyone's made their selection, there's nothing a team can do to affect how they've decided. Whereas with a playoff system, even though a team got gypped in their standings, they still have just as equal of a chance to go all the way through the tournament and prove that they are as strong as their record reflects, and they can still be national champions. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was the revenues for the NCAA and for the schools. They're worried that if they were to move away from the bowl games, they wouldn't take in as much from their sponsors, and I really feel that this isn't as big of an issue as they're making it out to seem. First thing that would happen with a tournament is there's obviously going to be more games. Therefore, all you need to do is transfer those sponsors to each round. Therefore, it's more exposure for them, and at the same time, more games means more money coming in for those schools and for the NCAA, and that way everyone's happy. So those are the three topics, and I really feel that if the NCAA keeps this bowl system, they're only going to be hurting the schools and each school's chance at being those national champs. Every year, schools get left out regardless of how well they perform or what they're capable of. The main reason for this is the voting process. Once it's all been tallied, there's no changing it. And it's never going, or the NCAA is trying to keep it the way it is because they're worried they're not going to make a profit. Bottom line is that Division I college football really needs to make this switch to a playoff style structure. When you look at all forms of football, Pop Warner, high school, and even Division II college football all use this tournament style structure, and there's never been any issues with it. It's time for Division I to make that switch and give everyone that chance to actually show they're capable of being national champions.